Okay, welcome to our March meeting. Ginger?
All right, Jeannie,
Here.
Carrie. Here. Ginger, I'm here. Laura.
Here.
Liz is not ready, she's gonna be. Okay, Corin is coming,
He
right?
indicated he'd be here.
Lori. Here. Teresa. Here. Yvonne.
Here.
Sinan.
Here.
And Emily.
I'm here.
Okay, approval of the February minutes, do I motion to approve them?
Or you can ask for a motion, like if anybody would like to motion to.
Would anyone like to approve them?
I will motion to approve them.
And second? Second. Okay, approve those. We do not have any visitors this evening. I do have 4 inspirational quotes for us, so Teresa, if you read one and pass it around to remind us of the importance of our work.
Trees are the poems that the earth writes upon the sky. Khalil Gibran, Sand and Foam.
Those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act. Albert Einstein.
Here is what we all have in common, Wendell Berry.
The more clearly we can focus our attentions on the wonders and realities of the universe around us, the less taste we shall have for destruction. Rachel Carson.
So leaping into our business, we'll come back to A when Corin gets here. And so we'll go right to B. Oh, I do have these other 2 articles to share. This is from the Webster Kirkwood Times. And this past Saturday, Kirkwood started a Tree of Distinction program. And
I missed that.
They steal their idea.
what's that, Yvonne?
We were just joking and said, well, we did kind of steal the idea about planting trees, so.
And here is an article also from the Webster Kirkwood Times about this bill in both the State House and State Senate to prevent nurseries from selling invasive species, including Japanese honeysuckle, Bradford pear, burning bush, winter creeper, and all varieties of cedar, And there is opposition to the bill. Some conservative elected officials feel that it's anti-business. So I brought it just to show you, and so if you encounter someone who maybe is in opposition to it, you could say it's really pro-earth. So there's some articles for just things we should know about. Welcome, Cory. So we'll go back to A, which is you, to speak about dark skies.
Great. Is it time for that?
It is.
Okay. I guess I should have been here sooner.
And just to preface, if it's becomes something more of a committee thing, to just kind of give us the highlights and then.
I'm trying to do it in an
Try to
hour
keep
this
the
month.
meeting.
Okay, cool, yeah. I'm on board with that. So for some time, we have kind of on the back burner had this idea of promoting a dark skies initiative and updating the lighting ordinances in Webster. We've had some positive feedback from city officials and we've had some support from sustainability. And long story short, it's happening now. So I wrote a letter and Jake wrote an ordinance update, which I have edited very slightly from what he did. It's about ready to go. I sent it to you guys earlier today. It's pretty straightforward in what it recommends. The summary is we have an outdated lighting ordinance. We want to cut that, put in a updated lighting ordinance that's all in one place, has all the lighting information just in a single location in the zoning area. And some very, very minor tweaks are suggested in other places to help make the verbiage match in different places throughout the code. That's it. If you guys like it, and right now, Sean Finnegan has seen it and Jake has seen it and they think it looks pretty good. We would expect to see some changes as the city takes a look at it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't write code for a living. So, they're gonna tweak it, but I think this form is good enough if we are interested in sending this to sustainability and then sending it up to council, assuming everyone's on board. That's the 1 minute pitch.
Do we need to vote and say yes, advance it?
We can do that now, and I would be in favor of that if we are agreed that we want to do that.
Should we also try to do a subcommittee? Like, or we got to that point yet, subcommittee for this?
I don't think in this case we need one. I think we can vote on it and submit it via the chair to the staff liaison and to the city, if we want to.
If you're willing to keep championing that, that would be good, because you've worked on this issue for a long time now with Linda, and we all have talked to Jake, and I feel that we've gotten enough background information on it, and it seems pretty straightforward.
I think it is.
Changes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I didn't see your email, so I didn't print it.
Okay.
Got it, but I totally trust you.
Oh, Ginger, you're great. Thank you. I could not get to a printer today.
My
Oh,
copy.
you're also great. Well, I haven't said that recently.
So just to clarify.
Yeah.
I say let's approve this.
Great.
Second,
Okay.
and then I send it to Yvonne as approved from,
And we would have to vote first. If we want sustainability on board, their meeting is in 2 weeks, and I've volunteered to take it to them and get them on board too. But once we have voted, you actually have to send it to Yvonne whenever we decide it's time. You can take it whenever you're ready. If that's my understanding of the process.
Well, I read through what you sent around.
Oh, great.
Thank you for doing it. It looks
Yeah.
really good to me. So for voting now, I think I heard a motion and a second.
Yes,
Okay.
all in
We just
favor?
have to vote.
It goes to
Think so.
sustainability from here.
Yeah.
That's what we're voting to do and then.
but I send it to Yvonne, not sustainability.
Right.
Yeah, it's through the bond too.
They have to decide independently if they also want to support the idea. But we can do it without them. It's just nice to include them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
Thank you a million times.
I think Emily wants to chime in.
I was just gonna say, I support this dark skies thing. I think it is probably more of a sustainability thing than a green space thing, but I think joint is good too. But I would just be clear on who it's coming from, and if it's coming from green space, kind of why we feel like it's a good fit for it to come from green space. If it comes from both, I think that is kind of clearer. So I would just include that in that. And then I would think about, I don't know if it's already in there, Jeannie, but I would include this in your 2026 plans as well as something that's a priority for you to work on as we think about staff time and all that. Cause I know it seems like a simple ordinance update, but nothing's simple and it's going to take staff time to implement. And so I would include this as a priority since, the commission has voted that that's important.
The first paragraph of my letter makes the case for why it would be a green space issue.
Okay,
but I
and I'm
thought-
sorry. Yeah, I
that's
had a
okay.
chance to read it this
I wouldn't
afternoon.
have expected people to all get to it.
Yeah,
But I thought we could update that wording a little if sustainability wants to go in and make it a joint thing. So that'll be
Yeah.
easy to tweak.
same page. Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I don't know if, she feels strongly about that, but I know I was at the Cool Cities, event and, she talked about it, so she's aware that we're doing it. And I think it would be good to have sort of a joint sponsorship if we're gonna make a recommendation.
Well, Lori, you've segued into our next bullet point that's not on the printed agenda. But for you and Corin to speak about the Cool Cities event that you attended.
I think we should do that, but I think we need to
A
formally
quick
vote.
vote on, we made a motion to,
Oh, I thought it just had to be seconded. It has to be actually.
then we have to
voted.
vote.
Okay, okay. all in favor of, adopting this, is that the word?
I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
recommending it to
Recommending it?
Sustainability Commission.
Okay, cool. That's
I don't
unanimous.
get to go down.
You got 2 non-voters on the phone.
Yeah, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in favor. That's sufficient. That's quorum. Thank you. Lauren.
Check. That one's done.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Lauren.
thanks.
Yes, thank you,
That's good.
Corin, for moving this forward.
It was my pleasure. I felt like I owed it to Linda.
And then you'll take it to, well, Yvonne will give it to, back to the, what's her name? Sean.
Sean.
And then
Yeah.
you're gonna go and be
Yeah,
at
I'm
their
talking to them in
meeting.
2 weeks, and
Okay.
Jake's going too. So
Okay.
he's gonna make a pitch, and I'm gonna say, here's the letter, basically, do you guys wanna sign on? Do you want me to change this so it
Do you
says
have a-
sustainability on green space recommended?
A concise.
Yeah.
Presentation.
I doubt it.
Well, you might wanna warn them.
Well, you know, that's up to sustainability. They might want the full deal.
They
Apparently,
might.
it's a little new to some of them, so.
Is this mainly an issue for commercial and development, or does it have an aspect of private individuals, residents?
Its primary impact will be gradually updating public lighting. It could be used by code enforcement against private citizens who have really, really bright lights. I don't know whether they would choose to do that or not, but yes, they could do that.
Okay, and, we're
I'm
gonna,
sorry, I'm sure that if you didn't, like, you guys didn't hear Jake, probably, he came to our committee a year ago or more and gave kind of a discussion about why these kinds of changes are good, and it was really interesting. So I'm sure you could be guests at the Sustainability Commission
Oh, yes.
or tune in if you wanna hear about it, for example.
And Jake's presentation was kind of epic, which was what we were joking about. There was a lot of good information.
Yeah, there's a lot that I've missed historically,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna continue to ask some basic questions until I feel like I've got a handle on what I need to know.
would you two like to share some information from the Cool Cities event?
Yeah, happy to. So I don't recall the exact date because I don't remember what I had for lunch today, but there are a lot of balls in the air. But recently there was a meeting at City Hall that was sponsored by Webster. It had representatives from Clayton, Richmond Heights, I believe, just different municipalities around the St. Louis region. Yeah, it was very well attended, a great presentation. What was his name? Andrew.
Oh, the presenter?
Yeah.
I didn't catch his last name.
Okay.
But he was speaking about the basics of climate change and how it may impact the region.
Yeah, so there's
Was he from East West Gateway?
yes, yeah, Andrew Young, is that his name? I think so. So he gave a really great presentation that sort of generally, anchored the discussion that happened afterwards. There was a woman, and I don't know her name, from Missouri Botanical Garden, but after that was a
Jean.
Thank you. There was a panel presentation which included Laura Arnold and Sean and who am I missing?
Gene and.
Jim was asking the questions and interviewing the panelists, Dr. Peoples.
Right.
And so we talked to the other municipalities about what we've adopted and, in our sustainability policies, and that it was a pillar, of our plan. And just a lot of information for those counterparts at other municipalities. So afterwards, we both ran up to Sean, had our sidebars. But it's really good, and it stayed on track for timing, and so I think they accomplished a lot of what they set out to do with that. And I felt like it was good that I heard it, but it wasn't necessarily targeted at an audience. The audience was the other municipalities. So, any highlights that you recall from?
I would endorse what Rory just said. That seems accurate. I would add, let's see. A a lot of it was kind of the classic, let's pat ourselves on the back for what we've accomplished and show the other municipalities what we could do. And we're also showing some of what they're doing to see what everybody wants to do, you know, like this build some
Yeah.
collaborative spirit.
Outreach to Ameren and
Yeah.
others about, you know, policies that they have in programs that provide incentives. There was some discussion about the potential general diminishing of resources, you know, and what we would do anyway in that regard. There was, to bear the lead, there was talk about this commission, you know, and what we've done. They talked about NOMO April and how that can be spread and what you might find, you know, that are, you know, people in opposition and ways to counter that. But there was a lot of talk about what this group has done that has been implemented and has really made a difference. And it seemed like, you know, the kind of thing that could be done well and without a lot of, you know, investment or things like that. Like they could take it our way that we're doing it and run with it. So
Did you hear anything about other cities that we could like learn from them?
They mentioned a couple, but Webster's ahead of the game on a lot of things, so I don't remember anything.
there was something with Clayton, but I can't remember the.
Clayton did a big lighting update. I talked to their alderperson. Theirs was expensive because their public lighting is enormous. And they didn't try to grandfather it in gradually like what I've proposed here and what Jake has proposed. They did it all at once, so it was big.
They have a whole downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, a business downtown.
And they are hosting the next one. And they did talk about why they landed on Cool Cities, because it was something that everybody, because there was another version and another name of it.
They thought some other names could be more contentious. Cool Cities was a nice, generally appealing phrase, I think.
Yeah, well, then it had hit at multiple levels, because, you know, hey, we're a cool city. And then, hey, we want to be cooler, and these are the reasons, you know, temperature wise, and that sort of thing. So it was a good meeting. And
Did they talk about the plan that East West Gateway is doing right now?
Yes.
Climate action.
They showed us some resources connected to that. I saved a link on my
Did you
phone.
get something from Jamie? Because I'd be happy to send that around. I don't know if I've gotten it yet.
No,
But she was supposed to give us a link and an email to the resources, so we all
That'd
signed
be
it.
great.
Yeah, I will.
And we did get some interest from Crestwood about NOMO and Leave the Leaves. So 3 of their aldermen attended and like raised their hand and said, do you guys have like a Webster Groves package, like a plug and play package for enacting NOMO? And I spoke with them and said, we kind of do, we have enough documents prepared, that Carrie prepared and I prepared. That basically, I think Sean and I can arrange that. So I'll keep in touch with that. That's it for me.
Thank you both, and I'm glad you were able to attend. Next, we're gonna talk about our budget. So this was sent out. Does anyone have a question, concern, comment, addition, deletion? So we have $250 for the Arbor Day celebration. That includes the awards for Tree of Distinction and the Tree Steward Award, advertisement, refreshments, and the saplings to distribute. We have $400 for Eco-Ed, refreshments, attendant prizes, which are often classically book giveaways. Green Our City, $4,475. It includes magnets, buckets, 25 trees, mulch, tree guards, workshop, refreshment, and giveaways.
Can I weigh in on that one? I think per Emily's email from February, Emily Hickson Shepherd, I think that Public Works is gonna be purchasing all the trees and the mulch and the tree guards, so we're basically, they're gonna ask us to help with sort of the outreach part or the workshop part. So I think having maybe some printing in that first line item and, well, maybe the buckets, I'm not sure, that hasn't been coordinated yet. But the trees don't need to be, the mulch doesn't need to be, and the guards don't need to be.
Okay, I will update those numbers.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question? So this is sort of a framework by which we present our budget to the council, is that, and there's a date for
It's
that?
due this month to council.
But then we formally present it in person, is that correct?
We presented in a document first, and then the chair is given an opportunity to present to the entire council if they have questions or anything.
Do we know the date that that's gonna happen?
I don't think it's been set up.
Okay.
I haven't.
I have not heard the date yet either.
It's somewhere between now and the fiscal year starting,
Yeah.
probably closer to that.
Yeah. I can't remember when it was last year. It was in the spring sometime. The budgets, this document's due March 15th. But I expect that we'll have the budget, the boards and commissions presentation meeting scheduled soon.
Do we need the level of detail below, the line item? Do we need to define it, the 250 for magnets, for example?
Well, I guess for this, because it sounds like Public Works is gonna purchase some of it, but I think the other could be really concise, which
You basically, I don't know, I think I sent it out. You've gotta have some narrative about, description about how these support your work plan and how they support the city's strategic plan.
My understanding from the meeting that we had, and I don't think you were there that day, 2 meetings ago or something, was that there was room within the budget to, for example, the signage was an example, we wanted to do signage, so something in this group that is not done could be done. Or, this sets the basis for a budget clearest room to move around those sub-line
So
items.
you're thinking like, maybe it's more like outreach materials, kind of like a more generalized.
Yeah, we did the Native Plan Watershed Task Force, that's a different naming of that line item, I think. And that was where that came from, that it was something very specific and we decided to sort of give it more room. I don't know, in my dealing with budgets, I always try not to,
Pin
back
yourself,
into a corner
right?
where
Yeah.
someone says, where are those magnets, or give me the 250
Yeah,
back,
I think
I just don't know the city's budget process well enough, so again, asking the questions, about what we need to do and where we can not pin ourselves into a corner. I mean, obviously, if we ask for something, we need to be able to substantiate it, but,
Thank you, Rory. Keep asking questions.
okay.
Next, we have the Community Days Parade. So just a slight show of interest, how many might be interested in being in the parade? I feel like I have a 50-50 chance I'm gonna be out of town.
Usually out of town.
For sure.
I'm usually in town. So
I'll be back from vacation, it's so hot.
I might be
Yeah.
up for it.
It kind of winds up being on just a couple people, and that's not as much fun as it could be.
The reason I
Which
bring it up
okay.
is, do we want to have a visibility and pair with other commissions and have like West Grove's commission float? Like sustainability and,
We have done that in the past, actually. We remember when we marched with the Sustainability Commission, yeah,
The jog and stroller.
yeah.
so at this time, should we keep it in here and think about reaching out to other commissions as it gets closer?
you have to drive a little cart.
At that time,
I
that
do
that
like
is
the
fun,
cart.
that
That
little
was
cart
fun.
is fun.
Okay, the next item is educational outreach. And there's been some traction with making videos. And I'm wondering if we could take some of the money we're not gonna be spending for Green Our City and bring it down to educational outreach to for sure get one video done this year, maybe even more than one. Like maybe doubling that to 2,400.
I don't think that hurts, cause that's probably a pretty low number anyway, depending on
Well,
how much
we're
gets volunteered.
hoping to get students, so it'd be more of a stipend-ish thing
Mhm.
than necessarily a professional level.
I think we could definitely move some things into the native plant watershed because we were talking about signage and I think there's enough of a need for that we could definitely spend more there.
Watersheds.
And I don't know if you need to do it up front or as long as there's the opportunity to be able to do it later, you know.
Well, signage is our next,
Let's not give up money that's expensive. Cause I think we could use it.
so we're talking about bumping up educational outreach and we'll just go ahead to Native Plant Watershed Task Force. And Sinan, do you wanna speak to the signage that we're able to do in-house? Probably called on him right when he's in the bathroom or something. So, in,
There it is.
okay. Hi, Sinan.
The stormwater master plan discussion is scheduled for tomorrow at the council. And we're gonna learn more about actually really the watershed delineations and such. Of course, it's not being invented now necessarily, but it will be an update of that information to council. And it will be fresh in the minds right after that discussion. So it will be a good time to address that and get that started along with our other stormwater management efforts in our city.
Okay, thank you, Sinan. Will you be at that discussion tomorrow?
Correct. I will be there. Yep.
Sinan will.
Okay. Oh, I'll pass this around. These are just different signs I found on Google Images that I thought were very informative. From the simplest little, like a pole saying you're in the watershed, to a more elaborate, what is stormwater, what is a watershed. So I can email this to you, Sinan, so you can see as well. Would that be helpful?
That would be great.
Can I jump in too, Jean?
Oh, please.
So we've talked briefly about, you still have budget money to possibly renovate the sign for the Prairie. Blackwood Park Prairie is in very bad shape. And the Larson Rain Garden is not in bad shape, but I think it could be updated. So here's some copies. So if you wanted to spend money on some signs yet this year, I could get some pricing on that, but I think I probably would talk to you about maybe how would we want to reword that or how people want to jump in, because the Prairie has gone from the stage that they're talking about to a mature prairie, so we wouldn't want to reiterate what's already on there. But think about it, that's something you want to spend some of your budget money on,
Our current budget.
our current money.
Yeah,
budget.
I would like to work on this.
Okay, and this might be a
Did you
good
ever
time,
reach out to N Graphics to get a,
I haven't gotten a quote yet,
okay,
because I kind of wanted you to see it and see how many words we wanted to put on it so I could get a better quote. And then the other thing I'm gonna throw out there now is another thing that you can spend signs on potentially is, the city is going to renovate about 18 pocket prairie or do turf conversions on about 18 little properties all around the city, so they're pocket prairies. So a contractor's gonna come in, kill the vegetation, and then plant a prairie, and this is in 18 different areas around the city. And we're gonna put signs there so people know that it's purposeful. And I can send you some samples of the signs that we're talking about, so that's potentially,
are those kind of off the shelf signs like you
there isn't one sign out of the Missouri Grow Native that fits the perfect bill. So we might do like a hybrid. So we're gonna need to buy 18 signs. So,
For this year, we have 3,200 in the budget
Okay.
for marketing signage.
okay.
Is there a way
Plans.
for us to see what we've spent
Mhm.
of this year's
Yeah, I
budget?
can pull it up.
Okay, that would be great to know.
I think I sent Carrie what we had left. I don't remember.
The signs for the parks and the prairies sound like they should be priority, because if without those signs, residents may complain about them, whereas nobody's gonna complain that there's a creek in our city.
Yeah.
But if we do have
Those
leftover
are gonna be for
goodies,
the next
these are
year's
great.
budget.
Okay, yeah, 'cause these are great, but I think it was said that this kind could be made in-house.
Oh, this is for this year's funds.
That kind, yeah.
Okay. What's, and Larson, there's a sign like in the middle of the rain garden.
This one, I think, Laura.
Yeah. That is like, I can't, there's nothing there anymore. I
Well,
mean,
we took the sign off.
okay, that's what it was, yeah.
Because it
Both
was
of them
pretty
took
worn
the
out.
sign. Yeah, I remember when
Yeah.
it was worn.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So Yvonne, I'm assuming you have access to this money when the decision is made.
Shall I break the vendor?
Okay.
is
So
there a-
this was just a reprint of the budget from this current year. So what I'm gathering is we're gonna take some things out from the trees for Green Earth City that we're not purchasing and move that money to educational outreach and native plant watershed task force and keep the same 9,000, right under 10,000.
Sounds good.
I mean, yes. Okay, so now we are up to an eco-ed update. So R3 are planned for this year. The final one, the sustainability Sustainability Commission's working on. So this Wednesday, in 2 days, is the first one at the library, about worms. And then April 2nd is our Green Space First Eco-Ed with about native plants for people and wildlife with Scott Woodbury.
Right, right.
May 7th, we have the Eco-Ed with planting a tree and then the Arbor Day in conjunction at Ivory Pocket Park. Then recycling with sustainability in June. And in September, in the works, not sure who's gonna be the speaker.
I have a little more information about it.
Would you like to share?
Yes, I would love to share it. So for the September 3rd, I think, we don't have well, I guess we do have a name for it. I think it's called Stormwater Playgrounds to Project Clear. And I've talked to Eric Grundenfelder, who's basically, that park was his project. He's the parks director for the city of Brentwood. And he very proud of that park and is happy to host us at their pavilion. So they're gonna give us that space, that fancy pavilion in Brentwood Park for free that night, which is amazing.
I would imagine it could be expensive to rent that. It's nice.
And I reached out to the woman who did the stormwater engineering for that project. Her name is Elise Ivandoll. She works at Jacobs, and she is going to speak alongside Eric. Or if she can't make it, she's got another person on her team who worked on that project as well. So both very informed about that project in particular. So that's lined up. We would start, I think, at like 6, and then have a little bit of a social hour between 6 and 7, and then presentations will start at 7. What I'm still trying to work on is getting someone from MSD to come. I have a connection through Stacy Arnold, who some of you guys have met, for the person in charge of the wetland at the design for MSD wetland at Marshall and Brentwood Boulevard. So that's another project adjacent to Brentwood Park. And then I was hoping Sanan or someone from our city could be there to talk about either the stormwater master plan or the phasing of work that's gonna be happening along Kirkham, but have all of those projects sort of represented so we can kind of see how stormwater is affecting the bigger picture and what some of the solutions are for that.
Thank you, Carrie, that sounds excellent.
I'm excited about it.
Will you be able to be there?
I can be there, I don't know if Sinan can be there, we actually had a very long meeting today about all of that. So,
About
the new sewer line going in.
Okay.
So Sinan's gonna probably give a better overall view of the actual sewer and the stormwater, but I can talk about what's happening in the parks.
Yeah.
And Sinan, would you be able to be there on September 3rd?
Yeah, and also we can invite the MSD project manager, who seems to be a quite knowledgeable fella.
Yeah, is that Sam?
Yes.
Yeah. Stacy Arnold, I think, has reached out to him already because she has worked with him on multiple projects, and she, I think, knew he was involved with those as well. So if you reach out to him, that would be great because you might be doubling up the invitation.
Sure.
So it's a pretty exciting lineup, and I encourage each of you to speak to friends and neighbors in Webster Groves and
One person, that she did a TEDx talk, on wastewater and stuff. It's not really like green space stuff, but it would probably be very interesting for the community to hear about. And she talked about PFAS and all sorts of stuff. She said she'd be happy to do it. She actually used to be the chair of the Sustainability Commission.
What's your name?
Kim Cole. But I totally
Liz?
get,
Liz emailed me an idea and I told her that we already had our 3. Her idea was stream team. And so I've started a list for next year, so we wanted to,
yeah,
That's
I mean,
what
we
they
could totally
told me
add her
about this.
if we wanted to, so.
if you wanna send me the idea and her name, I'll put it on my list. And then when it comes up again next year, we'll say, look, we have a list.
Okay,
We'll have to think of things.
Regarding Wednesday night's eco ed, is well, you're not gonna go by any chance, are you?
I've been thinking about it, haven't committed.
Okay.
What's up?
Well, I wanted to,
I'm planning to go.
I wanted to have a slide. I was gonna do introduction sort of with Karen. She wanted me to introduce our activities and with sustainability. But I was planning on having a slide talking just about NOMO and saying, go to the website. But also would like to mention leave the leaves and don't be taking all your leaves out right now, just because it feels like spring. So I was wondering if you are there, if you would help me with that slide because you speak so eloquently about it.
Thank you.
And I know, actually, I was at work and someone from Webster, who knows I'm on the commission, said, really like looking at the Facebook page, I know people aren't excited, sometimes people aren't excited about NOMO or leaves the leaves, but there's this person, Corin, who has these great responses and I love reading them, they're very informative and
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
That's
that was
nice to
great.
hear.
So, if you could, maybe you can text me
Yeah.
tomorrow or Wednesday and
I
let me know.
think I can make it, I don't have a conflict, so strong tentative, yes.
Okay.
I'll be there, and if you wanna email about presenting something. we
Yeah,
can.
it's just like
Something short,
a minute.
Yeah,
I'll
like
do
a
it the
slide.
most. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I have, a slide
sounds
with the 2 signs on it.
lovely.
And then one other thing, just to make note, I wanna book Nature's Best book, what's Tommy's book? Nature's Best
Yeah.
book. I wanna book an NBC event I went, so we can give that away at the Scott Woodbury Center.
Oh, I thought you said I want to book him, I'm like, that would be
No,
amazing.
no.
Yeah.
Well, update, we have booked him.
What?
Yeah, well, we haven't, I haven't
Oh
for
my
school.
Great
Oh, that's
bigger.
wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, I'll let you guys know more about that. In October.
What? This year?
Town
Yeah.
meeting, yeah,
Oh,
we're having an
schools?
event at the college.
Oh my gosh. I can't think of it.
It was announced at the recent Wild Ones.
Yeah, yeah,
Talk, then
my
it's
coworker
coming.
was there.
One woman said she's nervous because every time she hears them, she goes out and plants trees. Doesn't have more room.
Yard's full.
Okay, so our next item is talking about our role with Green Our City. And then Emily, you're gonna talk as well. So their last meeting, when we were talking about our budget and Green Our City, there was a slight discussion of, you know, should we keep doing this? Is this green spaces? And Emily took it up the ladder and discussed it with others, and the information is that Green Space Advisory Commission would help with the initial outreach, education training, that workshop that we did at Larson Park this year. And help at the day of the planting and follow-ups with homeowners through the establishment phase. Public Works, including the arborist, would handle site evaluations, determination of the number of new plantings, the species selection, ordering of all materials, logistics of the day of planting, updating the inventory list, annual inspections, and corrective pruning as needed. Additionally, arborists may need to water through establishment any trees planted in row, R-O-W.
Right.
That is not associated with the homeowner to maintain. So the question for us, our responsibility is finding residents who are willing to be stewards. And then Emily, I printed what you were gonna cover, if you need to see it.
I have well, go ahead, Emily, you might answer some of my questions.
You want me to read through the answers to those 3 questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, and I sent this in email to Jeannie and Carrie, and you guys are welcome to email it to the rest of the commission. That's totally fine to forward that on. So I think the questions are on the agenda. For the first ones, I'm just basically reading this from that email. So, and that was, most of this information was provided by Scott Davis. So the Public Works does not have a solid tracking for the data of trees planted and cut down during that time period. The data available and provided are for new plantings only for the last 3 years. In 2024, 25 trees were planted. In 23, it was 40 trees. And in 22, it was 40 trees. So that's what's been planted in the last 3 years. The next question was about the tree fund and who oversees that and what the balance is. So the way the tree fund is funded is that people pay into that, like, as a penalty if they have to take trees down as part of construction and things like that. Or they have to pay into it as kind of a guarantee that they won't cut trees down. So it's part of it is they call it a liability account. Like, part of it is we're holding funds that may be returned. So not everything that's in the tree fund is spendable, if that makes sense. So there's currently 97,000 in the tree fund, but it doesn't mean that there's 97,000 available for the city to use to plant right away or parks trees. The fund is a liability account that holds homeowner funds in escrow for 2 years. And at the conclusion of escrow, many of the funds are returned to the homeowner. But finance and the deputy city manager are working to separate that out. So we would have like a liability account where things hold, and then when it gets resolved, the money that's kind of like usable would get moved into an account that we could spend out of, rather than having those two kind of commingled the way they are now. And so hopefully that will lead to better tracking. The funds are restricted by ordinance and can only be used for plantings in the public domain, so they are protected in that way. But that's kind of how the accounting is set up on that question. And then on the tree inventory, so the street tree inventory and tree keeper is not up to date. There has not been a lot of use or input into it since it was brought online in 2019. The city's currently getting quotes to update the 2019 street tree inventory, the 2013 business district tree inventory, and to establish full park inventories. This was a couple weeks ago, but Scott said the cost would be well in excess of $50,000 to do that work. He's not talking about the system. He's talking about actually doing the work to update the inventory, like the work needed for that. So before we can commit to that level of funding, we need to ensure that those inventories will be used and updated in the future, that staff have the time and the training to do so, and that Tree Keeper is the most appropriate application for such an inventory like that. So that is, I feel like I'm kind of playing telephone game because they weren't my original questions and I didn't actually get to answer them, but hopefully that helps a little bit. And Sinan and Yvonne, I can help with more questions too if there are follow-up questions there.
I have several questions. The first of all, though, back to how Green Our City is gonna work for this year. So I presume Sinan, your team will be setting a schedule and just informing us when we need to take action and what action you need us to take.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we won't proceed with, I feel like we were getting over anxious last time and probably we're trying to push too many things through, so we're just gonna wait on you for direction.
Sure.
Okay.
And we'll want that kind of soonish, Sinan, because we'll need to plan the education session for the tree stewards. And we'll need to figure out who the tree stewards are gonna be. So I just want to make sure we have enough lead time to get those all set.
I think Green Space should promote the program now actively though, to get people signing up. So you mentioned
But
that
I
you're
would
talking-
like to see a plan for the whole
Okay.
thing before we ask people to sign up, because I don't know how. I wanna make sure that Public Works is ready to have people to sign up.
that we have something on the website, an application.
Well, and that they've got a plan for which tree's going where and how many trees they're capable of planting. So I really don't wanna get ahead of it.
So don't advertise till we get the plan.
So, yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Cause I don't wanna have the same thing happen to residents last year where maybe it was the wrong tree for their resident. Or we had miscommunications with people that were, scheduled to be planted and not planted or something like that. Does everybody think that's okay?
We were one of the people who declined a tree because we didn't want a buckeye. This was too big, drops nuts. And ultimately something else was planted there, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have a tag on it. It's not a problem, but it's curious.
Yeah, well, if you.
And it's kind of we were lucky that happened to Jeannie, right? But because she understands the program and what we're trying to do, but we don't want that to happen to other residents and We want it to be a positive program from beginning to end.
I mean, it'd be fun to see what happens to it since I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
some people
Send
might
me your
not like
address,
it.
we can pinpoint what it is.
Okay.
So then regarding the questions that you provided answers for, Emily, thank you. And thanks Scott for me as well, or for us. So that's good news that you'll be separating those two funds, that the actual what can be planned are used in the public right of way tree planting, and what's gonna go back to the homeowners who protect their trees properly. Do you know when that separation of accounts is gonna happen?
I do not.
Do you think it'll be this fiscal year or into next fiscal year?
I have no idea. I don't know what's involved in unmingling those. I have no idea what the timeline is on that.
Okay.
I'll ask as we're going through the budget process, so something to keep in mind how that shows up in the budget process. So I'll see it kind of then, but I don't know if that's this year or as we're going to the next year, if it's more complicated. I just don't know.
Okay. And then lastly, I'm not sure who's going out for Scott sounded like he was getting bids from someone to do the tree
Got some
inventory.
bids from Davey, just a budget bid.
Did you look into cost share grants with the MDC?
We can't use that if we're gonna get the 319. So,
But we don't know if we're gonna get this 319.
and if we don't, then we will certainly
Okay.
do that.
Sorry.
Nope, that's it.
I missed something, I think, on that part. I didn't actually hear when it will be made public again or why it was deactivated. If I understood right, it's only a 6-year-old inventory. It's got a lot of good public information in it. Why is it not still active, and when will it be active again? I heard the part about the updates. That sounds good, but I didn't hear an answer to the rest of the question.
Yeah, I don't think they really, it's just not up to date anymore, I think is what they're saying. Not sure why it's not up to date.
It's still pretty fresh for a tree inventory, right? 6 years?
I think there's a renewal cost, like with Davey, they have an online cloud software that basically
Okay.
you renew to have this out there, so the city has not, I'm assuming, not renewed with Davey to put the current
I see.
update out there, the current.
I was assuming it was just like an Excel file or something,
No, you have to pay maintenance fee.
Okay, I see.
Is that something we should think about being a green space budget item?
No, that would be public works city
Yeah.
budget item.
But the cost share stuff, I mean, that's, if we don't need the MDC grant for the 319 stuff, we can be part of the volunteer hours or the some of the pieces that the city can match to go into a cost share with MDC. Because the MDC will give communities money to update their tree inventories and do a certain amount of maintenance, and when you apply for that, having partnership with groups like ours to say we're gonna do outreach, that can help the application process.
Okay, for the sake of time, I'm gonna recommend that we postpone discussing the grant subcommittee update.
Darn.
But I do encourage everyone, it was sent out by Yvonne. I wrote up a proposed volunteer coordinator ideas based on the volunteer coordinator job descriptions we got from other places. So I didn't make this up. But if you would review it, we'll discuss that next time. And Rory, I have printed what you sent.
If I could, without having to go into a lot of information, just say, thank you for what you've done thus far. It is absolutely helpful to see who are some of the folks that we may be able to go to, and so this is all a process in development. And then further with the what I'll call job description or whatever, this is a component of what we would want to do. When it gets more mature in a grant cycle, we would have the story that we want to tell, which when you're talking about what I sent out, this is more of what are the more immediate priorities for us? How would we know we were getting what we wanted to get to? I think having the coordinator is one part of that, and then what is that wrapped around? I don't know if there's somebody out there in the world who would say, I just want to fund this person's time and that's it. But I think Sean came in under a grant, and it was one aspect of what she was doing, but it was a project. And now she's on board, and that's great, and she's putting her time between different focuses, Some of it is the initial and some of it's others, but for the committee, where I would hope to get to is, we've decided that it's very important that this person do this in relation to these projects. And so we go back and we mine the information that we have. And if it's a funder who needs a description of that, they're a line item in the overall project. But I talked to Yvonne and looked at some of the things that are being done in the city at various sites. There's all sorts of things that we could package together and present, in different ways, depending on what someone's willing to fund. And a lot of the things that the city is already doing can be determined to be a cost share. So we're in this process of developing the information. You keep giving important pieces. Every time I talk to Yvonne, there's more important pieces. And then, as Emily was saying, there's the coordination internally with the resources that the city has for developing a formal grant process. So it'll be really interesting when we get to that point and we're talking about, hey, these are the most important things that are happening and they're timely right now. We can do them, we'd like to develop, and here's the story we're telling. What do you think? Should we go forward with this? So I think that's where we are. But what I have in here were just examples of things. Like, I feel very strongly that, developing a database of who are our volunteers and what are they interested in and what are the things that they could plug into would be something. Recognition of volunteers to make it fun and let them know that we understand what they're doing is, part of the job description, but it may have to go in relationship to this particular project that we want to see happen. And it could be dark skies, it could be site-specific work.
Honeysuckle
Yeah,
refuge.
exactly. Non-native invasive removal and replanting with, better trees and plants and, maybe a rainscaping, whatever. That's up to what can be done that's outside of the scope of what the city employees can do, and then this becomes part of it. And so I think we're getting to stories, but I would love to get to the point where there's feedback from everyone here about what is the story that we want to tell, or we have this and we have these components to it, are these the right ones? So
So it
if you
just
would,
needs more time than we have available right now, so we'll table that till next month.
absolutely.
But we will look at it next month, so
Okay.
we'll send out the first draft of the job description again in preparation for next month. So last time we talked about the tree steward, but I neglected to have an actual formal vote. So we recommended Emily and her husband Glenn. Does someone second that recommendation? A second. And show of hands, who's in favor? So it's official now, and will they be informed? Will they be invited?
Oh,
or
yes,
will they-
yes. Joe invited the steward, or did you invite the steward
Well,
last
that's a
time?
tree
I'd be happy to talk to them if you guys need somebody to.
And then who wants to talk about them on our?
we'll have things to think about, but we need to get them invited to Arbor Day first. Yeah. Do you wanna, I don't know how we've done it, I haven't contacted people, do you wanna just write a little like letter that
Right.
says? I just meant, Jeannie, like,
Oh.
hey, we, you know.
I thought you were looking at.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm backing
We've
up.
nominated, you know, just something to send to Ginger so that she's got something she can go to them with and say this is what, and is unanimously decided that you guys should be stewards.
What kind of award would you like me to get?
I think what you did, didn't we do books last
think
year
we
and
did. Books, and I think there was kind of like a
a
little,
little plaque? Yeah,
okay,
I thought that was great. That was the best we've had so far.
Okay,
what that book on Oaks, Doug Tuck.
Yeah, would you ask them if they have that book?
Nature's Best Hope.
No, what's it called?
Something about Oaks.
Something about Oaks.
The Power of Oaks or something.
Yeah.
I'll ask her.
If they have any Talent Me books,
Yeah,
and if they do, which ones? And then that would be.
Just asking for a friend.
Yeah, just asking for a friend. Do you read that?
by the way.
and here is the, I printed extra in case anyone needs them, the roadmap for our commission going forward. And if everyone, I see managers on this, Ginger's got hers here and all filled out. You can take it and scan it and send it to me, or you can just email me your choices. What I would like is for everyone to be kind of involved with an existing program and a new program. Because we have so many things happening.
Now, what happens if we all pick the same program?
Then we'll discuss that.
Okay. Do you have a deadline?
I got one.
I do too. Do you have a deadline?
Next week, I'd like to put that on the agenda for next.
Okay.
And then real quick, I was gonna ask Emily, if the city would, you know, on the marquee in front of City Hall, where they put somebody at so-and-so's day,
Oh,
that maybe we could do the tree stewards
Oh,
names
that'd
on
be
the day. But I don't know if Emily can okay that, or how that.
Sounds great to me. I've never okayed those before, but
Okay, I don't know who would.
support that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know at the least we could put it out here at the rec center without.
I can ask how to do that tomorrow at City Council.
Okay, great, thank you.
And Jeannie, when you send the 26 plan do you want to send that directly to Mayor Arnold and just copy me, or do you want to send it to me and I'll forward it?
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll watch for that.
Okay, so we're zipping right along. Emily, any updates from you?
No, I mean, when we went through the 3 questions that you wanted, and Sinan mentioned the stormwater update, that's tomorrow night, that I think actually will be of a lot of interest to people. It's during the work session, I believe. So if you want to tune in or watch that later on YouTube, I think that'll be interesting. Some big projects will probably need to come out of that. And that's definitely topical for green space. Other than that, like comp plan is clicking along, and we're going into budget season, as you are all well aware. So I think that's probably it, unless there are any. Oh, they just started doing the public education about the upcoming election, which we've talked about here before. 2 items, council pay and the adding in, I think this is where we're adding in public engagement into the charter, if I remember correctly. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Emily. Parks Department update?
Yes, so real quickly, who would like to go to the Tree City USA luncheon with Emily? It's on April 4th.
What day of the week is that?
It's usually Friday.
I'm sure that's-
Friday.
I can go.
Yeah.
It's Friday, I can go.
Okay, one more person? Delicious
It's-
chocolate
it's
cake.
funny. Well, I mean, not funny, fun.
I've only been one time in my whole.
I think I'll probably be there again with college.
Oh, okay.
What time is that?
It's usually like 11 to
Yeah,
1 or
yeah, I think
2.
they want people.
There's
to start getting
talking
there
and
by-
presentations.
Where is it this year?
The pair.
The Bear.
They have a big space.
It's a good event. Okay, so,
It's kind of fun to see what other communities are doing with trees and just to give.
where you get to go next?
Oh, unless you wanna go this time.
you
Let
wanna
us
go
both go. I'm gonna sit next to you.
Oh,
I
Is
went
there
last
another-
year, so you can
How
go
many
this year.
spots do we have?
4.
Do you wanna go?
It's in the daytime on Friday the 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can put me as a backup, I guess. Yeah, I'd be happy to come.
But I went last year, so Lori can go this year.
okay, is that final word?
Sure.
Will you be sending out information or like I said, George?
Shoot.
I think they should let as many people as want to like this, right?
If we're not limited, I'll go, but.
Oh, and make sure you pick up a flag for us. Our flag is all shredded, our True City USA flag. So usually there's a box there that you pick up.
We got
Says
one last year, didn't we? We didn't.
If we did, it's already in pieces, so.
I didn't get a box. I didn't even go to.
I'll watch for the flag box.
Okay, other than that, we're just hopefully getting a little bit of a jump on spring cleanups in the parks because there's a lot, so just taking advantage of every nice day.
And Sanan, any updates from you?
Stormwater master plan is the probably the most significant one. The related to that is the MSD project discussion that we had today that Yvonne referenced. That project will be another big one, especially digging through a lot of our streets and Brentwood Boulevard included. We need to coordinate well its traffic control plan, not to cause any gridlocks on Brentwood due to that. That's a sanitary relief project, so it's really along a stormwater corridor, but it's really for sanitary purposes because MSD Project Clear needs to eliminate those outfalls where the sanitary flow can flow out into the stormwater creeks. That's the consent decree from EPA that they're working under. That's going to be active in the coming months. Some of its items will go to council for easement agreements, approvals and such. So you will see more of that in the coming days and months. That's all.
And that work session tomorrow night is open for people to tune in. Is that what I heard you say, Emily?
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, the stormwater update is tomorrow in the work session, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, just a few
I was-
minutes over an hour.
I just want to
Good
make
job.
a quick announcement. If you guys don't know, the Partners for Native Landscaping, it's a whole bunch of partners, MDC, MSD, Wild Ones, Grow Native, the Botanical Garden, Shaw Nature Reserve, and Sampson Community College. We partner every year on a series of educational events. They start this month, might be tonight, on the St. Louis County Library's site, and then there's an in-person event too and a plant sale. But if you go to partnersfornativelandscaping.org, you'll see there's a lot of great, very knowledgeable, talented folks talking about these kinds of subjects over the next month and a half.
Okay, our next meeting will be on April 7th. 5 o'clock, same place.